Bit of off-roading today. Come on, F-250. Do your thing, sister. Luckily, I've got a small boat. You can get past this, you're going to the lake. With any bit of water, you're totally screwed. Wow, the truck's doing good. Just put her in 4-low and she climbs. Built Ford tough, baby. Good morning, Wieners. What is cranking? Starting off today's video in beautiful West Texas country. We're fishing a lake that is off the beaten path, to say the least. And look at this this ramp we're fishing right now. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that's about like a 2-foot drop right there. And the landing is not much, but it's enough to drop the old Black London. Today's mission, we're going after anything that bites. Crappie, bass. This is a lake that can be really rewarding. I think it used to be better a couple of years ago due to droughts. A lot of fish have died. But from what I've heard, there's still bigs in here. And it's unlike most Texas lakes. It's clean, it's deep, and it's full of timber and pads. It's like everything you could wish for in a lake, at least for bass fishing. So we're gonna drop in today, see if we can figure them out. Like I said, I haven't fished here in a while, so it could be a zero here moment, but I'm excited to bring you guys along with, so stick with it, stay tuned, and let's go crank. Well guys, we made it on the water. We found a way to put the boat on one of the dustiest ramps in Texas. I'm gonna start off with a little frog. It's actually one of our prototype filthy frogs that I just like a lot because it's all white. And I'm just gonna throw this puppy around. Some flooded timber. Start shallow for a couple of hours, maybe like an hour and a half. And then we'll probably have to move out deep because it's gonna get hot today. Every single day this week, 100 degrees, 5-mile-per-hour winds, like the dustiest summer weather. But sometimes this heat can make them a little bit more predictable, sends them out deep, and you can catch some pretty big fish that way. He definitely wants it. We're on another crappie. It's kind of fun. Good thing started in the day, just slam some crappie. Look at this guy. I think they call them like magnolia crappie. It's this weird gene where they look normal. They look like a normal black crappie, but they've got this black line on their head. Really unique looking fish. Just a little guy. I'm sure there's some big ones in here. It'd be kind of nice to catch like a pounder today. Thanks, little bud. Our first fish is a crappie. Feels good to be back in Texas catching yappies. See you, bud. Thanks for playing. More crappie down there. My God. Another crappie. That's fun. Well, if you can't get suspended bass, you might as well crush some suspended crappie. That's epic. All about the same size though, like that 10-inch mark. Looking at them on the graph, when I pulled up, I was like, oh man, the bass are schooling. And I'm like, wait a minute, I should probably throw a crappie jig down here. Sure enough, boom, crappie. Just about every cast in this spot. About to smack another one. At least they're eating. We'll find bass today too, but messing with crappie is always a good time. Especially when they're hungry. Another one. Good Lord, they're fired up today. About the same size too. Just a whole, that's a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Take that. I might have to bring some of these back to the pond, honestly. It's a nice one. Nice little black crappie. I think yeah, let's box them. Screw it. Hey buddy, you're coming home with us. Oh wow, nice. You said the pond needs more diversity. That's a good one to get. Trying to get on a little deep pattern because that's usually what the program is here in Texas, but After seeing like 4 very nice bass come up and just start chasing bait, I've switched over to the zinger and we're just gonna slow roll this over some brush. I know they're eating shad, and that's one of the reasons why I'm throwing the drop shot with the dart on there, and that's the reason why I've got the Grande Recon on, because I know they're in here eating shad. That's primarily what bass eat this time of year, but I just can't find them deep. So there's this little shallow flat full of standing timber that's right next to the creek channel, and that's about the most sign of bass life I've seen all day. So I'm just gonna stick with this for a little bit, see if we can find some more. The only problem is this time of year you get windows, you know. They're not gonna be feeding all day, especially with this heat. Let's see if we can pop some though. I know they're here, that's for sure. Look at all that shad coming up to the surface for you able to see it. Oh, we go back down. Yeah, I'm on. There we go. Good one. Good fish. I knew one of these guys eventually had to eat. In the boat you go, sister. There we have it. I'm glad we persevered on that, because it's getting pretty frustrating watching fish chase down your Grande crank and not commit. Knocked it once and came back and hammered it right before we got to the boat. We finally found what I've been looking for all day, and that is deep schooling fish. As you can see, we're throwing deep cranks. That's a dives to 20. Grande Recon, not a bad start. Nice little 2-pounder. There's plenty more. Like, look at this graph. Those are all fish. Those are all bass right in through there. They're loving it down there. Just loving it. There's one. Oh, good one. Nice one. Nice one. Come here, buddy. Oh, he stuck himself again. That's good. Come here, buddy. Oh, one hook. Do I do it? I'm gonna do it. There we go. That's a solid one. These are all really quality fish, you know, like not that bad. You can tell they're much needed some shad though. Pretty skinny fish, but quality little 2-pounder. So much fun. We haven't moved one bit. The boat has stayed in this little hole for about an hour now. And we're still getting bit. Thank you, Jimmy. See you, dude. That's hype.
Let's go, bro.
Something so sick about throwing a deep crank and just casting, and then finally they'll just turn on. They're just out of nowhere. It's like, boom, I want to eat it. It's like if you keep shoving a bean burrito in my face, I'm like, no, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. No, I don't want it. Best way to get you shut up is just eat it. I don't know if you guys would shove a bean burrito in my face, but if you do, that's what would happen. Oh, nice one. Not that big, but it slammed it. Okay, is that a crappie? No, it's bass. Not bad. I'll take it. Look how they're getting it. Every single fish we've caught today has just been right on the very last hook. Oh my God, they're fired up. When they're eating like that, it's usually not good. At least we haven't pinned. This usually means that, you know, the color that I'm throwing is a little bit off, not exactly what they want, or they're just not fired up enough to just fully crush and engulf that crank. I'm seeing some big fish down there. We might just have to weave through these little guys before we get something big and girthy. Thanks, dude. Mwah. I'm going right back over him, see if he goes round 2 on it. Still down there, I think. Did you see that? Dude, that was the loudest line snap I've ever heard in my entire life. Dude, it's like my ears ringing. There's a bunch of bass schooling on shad. It was like a good one too, it was like a 4-pounder. And I'm like looking at my graph, seeing where they're at in the bottom. Of course, Jimmy comes all the way to the surface, grabs my worm, and I snap off. That was the loudest, like hands down the loudest break off ever. He ate it too, like just engulfed it. It was kind of like when we were feeding the minnows in the pond, that's what it looked like. Well, now he's got a souvenir. So, this is something that I'm not very good at, but I'm trying to get better at for the new season, and it's probably one of the more boring, but also very effective ways to fish this time of year. I like flipping shallow. I like, you know, getting up, in the guts of creeks, getting in 2 inches of water and flipping bandito bug up there and winching out a 7. But this time of year, these fish will push off their shallow spawning zones. They go deep. You've heard it 100 times. In the summertime, they go deep, no matter if you're up north or down here. Just like a couple weeks ago, I was in Maine catching small with 30 feet of water. The water time is only 6 to 8, but it's just their nature. They go out deep to feed. If the bait's there, they're gonna be there. So one of my favorite little tactics for this scenario is throwing a grande recon. This dives from 15 to 20 foot. I'm using 15-pound test, so it's getting to right about 17. If you use like 12-pound, you can get it all the way down there. I got my first few bites with this one right here. This is in a shotgun shad color. Really awesome for dirty water. It looks a little bit more natural. But I want to switch to like a chartreuse. Maybe keep these fish on their toes a bit. Even a shallow recon too might not be a bad idea. But anyway, we're gonna play around with some different depths and colors. See if we can get these fish to really key in. I think they're biting good, but I think they could be biting better if I hone in on that right depth. They're sitting kind of above the water column. They're not really down there. The big ones are gonna be down below, but I think if I run over their heads, they'll crush it. There's a fish. Good one.
Don't know how big yet. Not giant, but it's a bass. A little schooly.
This one's fighting weird. Oh, it's probably the biggest one of the day, honestly. Not bad. Close to 2, maybe? I don't know, that first one might have been our biggest. Well, that almost went my hand. Nice crap. Knew he was going to go skitsy there. Give it a dunk. Another cookie cutter summer largemouth. This is fun. Something I'm not used to doing a whole lot, and I think that's why I'm enjoying myself out here. It's kind of stepping outside my comfort zone. This whole year, 2021, I've tried to switch things up. I've fished a lot differently, and you know, still haven't met that 10-pound mark, but we are getting bit, and that's all that matters. Thank you, little dude. I just crushed it. I was going over a tree limb. I could feel it, and he went bonk. Thanks, bud. I appreciate you. Bye-bye. Oh, right at the boat. Right at the boat. That's a decent one. Right at the boat. Didn't even see him on the grass. That's how you land a fish right there. Another one. Just slammed me right at the boat. I didn't even see him on the graph. So sick. Looks like he's been caught before a couple times. Look at that. Mangled face. Thank you, dude. See ya. Bye. There's a nice one. Begging. He's got me on a tree. Stay on. That's a big one. He's still on. I think it's a better fish. Stay down. No, what is that? Oh, I have two. I have 2 bass. Oh boy. I have 2 bass. I have 2 bass. That's crazy, dude. That's pretty insane. Well, this is what happens when you find schooling fish. They start fighting over it. I'm like, damn, that thing feels good, but it's not like, I'm not feeling any head shakes. Okay, that's probably the first time I've ever done that on a deep crank. It's pretty cool. Just some little schooly largemouth, but that's epic stuff. If I was fishing a tournament, I'd be stoked right now. That doesn't happen often. 2-for-1 deal on the grande. They're twins too. Stinky and Rinky. Gnarly. See you guys. That was different. Oh, it's decent. Hey, how you doing? He's running right at the boat. This one's fat. He's been eating shad. Man, we're getting so close. We just need to, like, we got the numbers down, no problem. We're getting the squeakers, the schoolies, if you will. But not the big ones. I mean, if he was long, he might be 10 pounds. Look at that gut. Oh, he's got a crawdad in his mouth. What are you doing eating a crankbait? You can just kind of barely see the antennas. Huh. Little quick tip. Look down their throat, see what they're eating. He's eating craws. I don't know why he ate a chartreuse crank, but thanks anyway. I appreciate it. Absolutely stopped me. See ya, Bubba. There we go. On the way up. Saw him on the graph. I'm getting a lot of bites like that where they're eating it when I'm coming up with the crankbait, which leads me to believe that I'm just hitting suspended fish onto the boat. Probably should be throwing something slightly shallower, but I know what lives down there in the deeps. Those big fish will sit down below while these little guys pick off shad up top. I don't know what, like that's impressive. I don't know how he got hooked that way. Probably not the best place for him. There you go. Nice. Thanks, Bubba. What was that? Fish number, we caught 2 on one cast. I think we're at like 6 or 7 right now. Sifting through these little guys before we find a big one. I'm marking big fish down there. They are lurking. You can tell what's big just because the blob for a little one's probably about that big, and the blob for something that's got some girth is about that big. So just gotta keep cranking. Spend a few more hours out here, see if we can make it happen. We're grinding in the heat for you guys. I want to show you a big fish. If we don't even make it happen, if we don't catch a big fish, at least we're having a good time out here. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Low expectations. Knock on hummingbird. Close to the one we want. He's barely hooked. I mean, he is barely hooked. Don't pull hooks. Don't pull hooks. I watch him eat it. He gets hooked again. That's a much better fish. Oh, stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, God. So scary grabbing him with all these trebles. Gotcha. That's the one we want. That's a little bit better. It's so funny. Jake, who's helped me film this week, he's like, all right, let's get some cool shots. And I literally said to him, like, usually when we start filming and messing around with cameras and different angles, that's when we get bit. Sure enough, biggest one of the day. Probably close to 3. That's the fish we were after, man. Something like this, maybe a nice kicker for the end of the day. They're few and far between, but when you find them, they're clumped up. Beautiful fish, man. He's got a little, we're not gonna talk about that. I don't know what that is. He's got a little blemish, okay? You don't judge on the channel. All fish are beautiful. Nice, man. Nice largemouth. Send him back. What'd I tell you?
Oh my God.
Isn't that funny? Oh, thank you so much for playing, dude. You're a G. You're a G. Woo! That felt good to come tight on a good one. Chartreuse and blue back was the move. It just switched colors and they seem to like that a little bit better. They're not all committing, of course, but you find the right one and he's gonna eat a little bit better than the other color, so can't complain. There's actually 2 down there. The sun continues to shine and the bite. That was a log, by the way. The bite continues to be half decent. I think it could be a lot better. There's something I'm missing here, whether it's a color thing or a profile deal, I don't really know, but I'm just having a hard time finding out where like the clumps are. Like I'll go biteless for 30 minutes and I'll find a couple and then they're just gone. I think they're moving really quick right now. They seem to be anywhere between like 13 to 17, at least that's where I'm catching them. I'm seeing a lot like suspended out in 20, but I'm not 100% sure if they're bass and they're not really reacting too well to my bait. So we're gonna try for a couple more minutes, see if we can get that big Girtha. I'm gonna scan around here, see what this bank looks like, and then we're gonna fish the dam for a couple casts with the jig, see if that works. But in all, we've had a pretty solid day. Caught them out deep, which is something that's not easy to do. Well, after fishing Satan's armpit, we've headed off the water. It was honestly so hot. Camera gear was failing. Things were overheating. You couldn't even touch anything that was even remotely dark or black in the boat because it was so hot. I know I'm such a pansy. I'm complaining about the heat, but you guys understand, I just came from Maine. 80 degrees is hot in Maine, and it's 100 and who knows what. But it was so much fun. This is a lake I don't get to fish that much because A, it's a process to get to. I mean, after big rain, there's no way you're fishing this, like, period, especially in my truck. And then B, it's just kind of off the beaten path. It's pretty far, so I don't really travel here as much. It's probably my 3rd time fishing there, and finding them deep and catching these fish on a tactic that I'm slowly starting to learn. It's a lot of fun. We also have one thing left to do, so the video's not over. It's actually a really exciting thing that we need to do before we finish this one out and close out today's video. There at the end, I managed to catch quite a large fish, and the ritual recently is if we catch something unique, big, different, we're gonna stick in the ponds. But yeah, I'm hoping Jimmy in the back of the boat survives. He's back there bouncing around, vibing, doing his thing. We got about an hour drive, so I'm crossing my fingers that he makes it. But if he does, then we'll have a nice way to end the video, because this thing is really sick. I'm excited to show you. Welcome back, Queeners. We're at the ranch. This is the exciting moment. I kind of kept this secret, kind of a nice little cherry on top of today's fishing Sunday. We have a Jimmy in the box. Actually, we've got 2 Jimmies in the box, one of which I caught off camera when we got back to the ramp, but the one that I kind of caught on camera, I'll roll that clip right now. Oh my God. Hopefully he's alive. He's been in the box for about an hour. I put some ice in there. Oh my gosh, please be alive. Oh bro, he's chilling. He's chilling. Take a look at this. We brought back a new friend. Take a look at that unit. That is a monster crappie. He's huge, dude. We were about to wrap up the day. Found a nice little tree with some fish on it. Thought they were bass. Threw the Grande Recon in there, started cranking. Came tight. I was like, oh, that's a decent one. Bringing it up, bringing it up. Out comes this Jimmy. This absolute gorilla. That's a yapper if I've ever seen one. Freaking unit, man. Now he's gonna be a part of our home. We finally have some diversity, no longer just bass and bluegill. Our first crappie. I had a few other ones in the box too earlier today, but they weren't doing good, so I put them back. But this guy's thriving. And then on top of that, we got a little bluegill down there too, who was on a bed. And you know what? He's coming home with us. All right, let's relocate these fish. We'll come back for the bluegill. Look at that crappie, dude. That thing is huge. That's like every bit of like 14 inches. It's a monster black crappie. Introduce him to the new home. Hopefully he thrives. Crappie are pretty resilient. This is deep enough water for him for sure. There he goes. Dude, that thing is big. That's a yapper if I've ever seen one. Well, Wieners, that is gonna conclude yet another Texas episode. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. This is kind of fun. We get to combine a fishing day with a little bit of pond stocking. Drop a comment, let us know what we should film next. If you guys wanna see more pond videos, make sure to comment and like. And if you guys wanna see more dissecting a Texas lake video, also give a comment and a like. This was fun. We introduced a new pet to our home and we got to catch some fish all together. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the view. And as always, folks, keep fishing, never stop.